Let's see how that one does.
MJF just tweeted, I feel like I don't talk enough about how much I love Comcast, Fox, Disney, Warner Brothers, Netflix, Amazon.
Nope.
Yeah, just getting his
Getting his likes in.
so that whenever WWE gets bought by Disney or some shit, they can be like, yeah, let's get this MJF.
We should have Mickey Mouse ears on
Yeah,
in this promo.
let's get this MJF guy.
All right, so I just shared that part too, and as a comment, basically in the old post.
Gotcha.
Hopefully, people will be able to find that.
You can't edit the original post.
I mean, I can, but I can't put. Well, I guess I can put the 2 links, but then it'll take away the thumbnail.
It won't let you put 2 links at the time. But we're on. Well, I'll edit all this pretty stuff later.
The pretty stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so we're back. All right. So
And we're back.
Yes.
Damn Comcast. They better not be the ones buying WWE. Fuck that. Well, we don't have any other options, dude.
Yeah, what are you gonna do about it?
Yeah,
you can't fight it.
So what other category can we, or do you want to?
You
go
tried promo of the year by doing a segment.
Okay.
Promo
fair,
of the year.
fair.
I'm gonna just run, shoot them off. See if any of them remind you of anything.
Okay.
MJF's promo after losing to Wardlow, where he's begging Tony Khan to fire him.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
He walks out. Sami Zayn trying to defend Jay, where he's not feeling oozy.
Yep.
That got them over. CM Punk's promo, "Will you be my Valentine?" And he breaks out the fucking dog collars.
Yeah, that was good.
That was a
Yeah.
good one. Seth Rollins had one where they were doing this side by side with Riddle.
Oh,
Riddle's
Riddle.
talking shit about how Seth's not the man, Becky's the man, and then they go off air and Seth chewed in the fucking Riddle. That's the first time I actually felt bad for Riddle. And that's also the first time I took him seriously. And I shared this on our thread. The promo with Eddie Kingston before he fought Jun Akiyama about his struggle because it's his hero.
Yeah.
Dude, that hit me on another fucking level because that's another example of Eddie Kingston. He doesn't do your typical ABC paint by the numbers pro wrestling promo. He'll shoot from the hip and he'll hit you every time. And that promo, I'll show it to you when we're done. Wrestling is idol. He's been wanting to wrestle him for fucking ever.
Yeah.
And he beat him in that match. That was probably the one that drove it home for me about Eddie.
Did you mention the one where MJF was getting in the face of William Regal, where he basically recounts when Regal told him,
"Oh my God, yeah,
that he wasn't good enough to be in NXT."
That's a good one.
That was a really good one. Yeah.
That's just as good.
Um,
There aren't many others that come to mind.
That you know which one I liked? Bray's first one when he came back.
I thank you.
And
Yes.
he was thinking
The
and he
audience.
he was off. He
Yeah.
wasn't being
He wasn't in
Bray
character.
Wyatt,
He
he
was
was being
Wyndham.
Yeah, he was being Wyndham. Like, and I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah. And that was the introduction of the story that they were going with. You see all the shit on the screen.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, here we go again.
And how we got Uncle Howdy out of that. How do y'all feel about this Uncle Howdy situation?
It's too soon to tell.
I'm interested to see where it goes and who. I think they're rotating between multiple different people. I don't think it's the same person under the mask.
So I have a hot take on that.
Go for it.
The hot take is it isn't anybody. It's Uncle Howdy is Uncle Howdy, and that's it. Like,
Yeah.
You know,
But there's multiple people wearing it. Like,
yeah, whoever's wearing the mask, it's irrelevant because it's just Uncle Howdy. Whoever they actually land on to be the person that's always going to be under the mask, it's just going to Uncle Howdy.
it's like Suicide.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it
maybe
was
like Suicide. Yeah,
It's T.J. Perkins.
Yeah.
It's Christopher Daniels. It's Kaz. Like,
This is the
Yeah.
Scott Hall you always remember.
Yeah.
This is the Kevin Nash you always
Yeah.
remember.
yeah. I think the point isn't so much, it's somebody under a mask to be revealed to be somebody else. Like a lot of people in the IWC.
You'll never know. I don't
Yeah.
think you'll ever be like, take the mask off and be like, it's Bo Dallas. Holy shit.
Yeah.
So, it's always going to be Howdy.
Yeah, it's always going to be Howdy. That's the way I'm thinking of
I
it
kind
too.
of like that.
Yeah. It's
Uncle Howdy for this week.
It's
All right.
Kane, and when Kane took off the mask, it's still Kane. It's not like, oh my God, that's Isaac Yankem. It's been Isaac Yankem this entire time. No, it's Glenn Jacobs, but that's just who he is. That's who he's playing. It's not like you're saying, they take off the mask. Oh my God, it's Bo Dallas, and it's been Bo Dallas the entire time. Like the same way how we never really got a reveal for who Sister Abigail was. Sister Abigail has always just been this,
or the rabbit, or the pig.
It's,
None of those.
It's this supporting character in the story of Bray Wyatt. And my guess is that Uncle Howdy is just the abusive uncle that was twisted, that made Bray what he is.
The only thing that concerns about that is how they're going to do promos with Uncle Howdy, like, because it's going to be, if it's somebody completely different all the time, or if it's, you never get to see
the promos or the video. All he's leaving is like 2 or 3 cipher sentences, and that's all that's his promos. You don't have
that's
to.
It. They're never going to have him cut a promo in the ring.
No, I think so. I think they will eventually. Something that explains a little bit more as to what's going on. But it's what I'm saying we're not going to get is a reveal.
Yeah.
We have the reveal. The reveal is him. It's him. Yeah.
I'm going to say this as an honorable mention. I'm not sure a lot of people saw this. There was a promo on Raw between Damage Control and Alexa Bliss, Bianca Belair, and Asuka. And there was a moment where Asuka and Io were talking shit to each other in Japanese.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And the subtitle was like, Asuka's literally calling Io a fucking idiot, baka, because they're from 2 different parts of Japan where the language is completely different. And like one's proper Japanese, and one's like slang kind of. And Asuka was putting on slang. I was watching. I was like, I've never been more interested in someone doing a promo as I was in subtitle reading what all that shit was.
That was a good one.
We hear Asuka's like, no one's ready for Asuka. That's a nice little catchphrase. That fucking promo gave both of the women substance.
Yeah.
And and we had this conversation, that's gonna be the issue with if you want to kill the Forbidden Door and you want to sign Okada, or the problem right now with Nakamura. Well, his English is getting better, but it's still not coherent enough that the average white guy neckbeard from Tallahassee is gonna be like, oh, me like Nakamura-san. They're not gonna do that, but having that subtitle, not that it gives away the promo, but like after the fact, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I mean,
unless you're inside the building, they ain't got no subtitles in the building.
Yeah,
you just got 2 random Japanese women yelling at each other.
I mean,
I'm not mad at it. I'm just saying.
I've seen crazier stuff on the internet.
I've seen crazier stuff in here.
Hey,
event of the year. Got a pick?
Oh man. I have 2, and I might just be completely 100% biased on this, but I'll see what you guys say. Double or Nothing or All Out. One of those 2.
Punk winning, Punk dying.
Yeah. I think the reason why I'm so biased on Double or Nothing is because I was there. So, vacation.
You sound like me.
I know. Vacation, going to Vegas, seeing it live. It was really fucking cool. So, I mean, again, I'm bringing that up to say that I might be biased. So, please, if that is the case, correct me. But All Out was important. Probably more so because of the after, because of Brawl Out.
Yeah, what happened? Yeah.
But even before that happened, when that pay-per-view ended, before the fucking media scrum, holy shit, MJF is back. Holy shit, this is what happened with the title, and all the stuff with the Acclaimed and Swerve where they should have won but they didn't, and like, oh man, that was a really good fucking show.
I equate your picks to marriage. Double or Nothing was the wedding.
Okay.
CM Punk was given the roses. He's officially AEW champion. All Out, literally, the honeymoon is over. Now it's a marriage. Now it's serious. Now we got to pay the bills. Now we got to worry about how to keep this roof over our head, because everybody saw through the windows. Everybody's in our relationship problem now. That's what that feels like. I'm gonna lean on your take.
Okay.
Because we don't always say this, and it's been a while since we've been able to say this, and it's hard to say it when it's fucking 2 nights in a row. But when WrestleMania is on fire, all is right in the wrestling world. And spread over those 2 nights, this past WrestleMania, that right there on the wall, god damn, yeah. That shit was fucking good. There was good stuff on both nights.
You went to it. That's right.
Yeah, it's been I think that's the first WrestleMania since COVID where it feels like, all right, we're back to normal now. Wrestling's good. At that point, AEW was good. NXT was starting to get a little bit of traction. The ROH is returning.
Show was really good.
You know, and Indies blowing up. Yeah, wrestling's back to normal, and that was the beginning. WrestleMania it was fucking good.
I would say that this year's WrestleMania was more tolerable.
There was a lot less matches.
Less matches, and the matches that were on there were more
and built up well.
Yeah, you had Austin, you had Cody return, you had
Jackass Crew, you had Logan Paul, you had something for the filthy casuals, you had something for the diehards.
Yeah.
And you had something to bring in new people.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was Belair and
Becky Lynch.
Yeah.
Night 1.
Which was
that was solid.
Great.
Contenders, Full Gear from top to bottom was fucking good.
I can't even remember.
SummerSlam.
I was gonna say
all the returns.
I didn't mind. I thought Clash at the Castle was pretty cool too.
Yeah. You know what? That might be for me.
I didn't watch all of it, but what I did watch was
just because I love seeing that UK crowd.
Yeah. For me on WWE side, that's probably the best show WWE put because of the crowd and then just the significance of it.
I kind of wish that Roman had or that Drew had won.
Yes, I agree.
But it's too obvious, I would think.
It still would have been right.
It would have been fine if
or if Theory cashed in afterwards and took it from Drew.
Something just to that's probably one of the main issues with WWE this whole year is just the fact that it's like we're back to that Cena must pose. The story could be great, but we all know that Roman's winning.
Yeah.
It could be the story, you're like, oh, maybe no, Roman's winning. And it's every now this year it's 2023, you never know what's going to happen, but 22, I didn't see anybody in 22 that would have beaten Roman. Other than just being like Brock's back, fucking Brock.
Other than Drew at Clash at Castle, that was the most believable.
If Drew wouldn't have won it there, no one's gonna win it anyway.
Exactly. And then they had the just the crowd alone too was to fill that stadium.
I mean,
all the tickets were sold out within the first week, I think, because they had
the first couple of hours. So the pre-sales were gone.
You can't discredit off of that show Gunther versus Sheamus.
Yeah.
Which is on our match of the year list.
There was the last show for me, Death Before Dishonor. You start that show.
Okay.
You start that show with Claudio Castagnoli finally winning the Ring of Honor World Title off of Jonathan Gresham.
Yeah.
And then you end the show with a fucking hour-long 2 out of 3 falls with 2 of the best tag teams in professional wrestling that year in 2020.
Yeah.
Regardless of how much TV time they got getting there, once that bell rang, your mind was blown. Your hair was gone. Brand of the year. Is it simple? Is it obvious?
No, I don't think it is simple or obvious.
What?
I'm going WWE.
Yeah, I
brand, not company.
Oh, brand.
So what show? Raw, SmackDown, NXT, AEW, Dynamite,
SmackDown. It's been consistent, and all the things are on there. Like all the main things we've talked about. The bloodline,
Dynamite, and then SmackDown right beneath it, because it's the easiest 2 hours to digest is SmackDown.
But man, okay. See, if you were talking WWE versus AEW, I would have said WWE. It's just because it was the era of Triple H, right?
But if you're saying WWE, that means you're watching.
But if you're saying brand, then I gotta go with AEW, because WWE together Raw and SmackDown as a unit, whatever, it feels good. I don't feel like SmackDown is better than Raw, or Raw is better than SmackDown, whatever, because it's been too inconsistent with the division, and even with the division where it's just like, oh, hey, Roman is the champ over here, but he shows up on the if I have to split those hairs, I'm like, no, I'm an AEW guy, right? But no, SmackDown's been pretty damn good because of what's been going on with Hunter taking it over. And implementing a bunch of changes has given me hope. There was a lot of hope for me for WWE for this year, to where it's like, okay, this is slowly but surely turning into what NXT Gold and Black was when Triple H was involved there.
And now NXT's back to what, black and white and gold now, it's supposed to.
Yeah. But again,
we'll see what happens.
As of December 31st of 2022, that's my feelings. January 3rd, 4th, whenever it was that all this shit's going on, that Vince is back. And now I'm more apprehensive now,
Yeah, I'm curious on what's happening. Mm-hmm. What do you got? You went Dynamite? You said Dynamite?
It's Dynamite. I watch AEW every week. That's my must-see program.
Yeah, but
okay.
That's it. SmackDown is my number 2 because 75% of SmackDown I've saw this year consistently.
I just think that
2 hours is easy.
Yeah, Dynamite for me just I don't know. Sometimes it's just thrown together.
Sometimes.
I think this 2022 was just had some really good moments, but overall there was some bad stuff, and overall the wrestling was just, there was a lot of negative and bad booking, bad television.
Lazy
booking for sure. For sure. What's
All
next?
right. We're down to the nitty-gritty.
The nitty-gritty.
Match of the year.
All right.
Before we go talk about our matches, I'm going to just run down some matches that at one point were on the list.
Hold on. Before you do that, I want to kind of lay down what our ground rules have been for this year.
Okay.
After we're done with this, I want to revisit whether or not we're going to change the ground rules.
Okay.
The ground rules for this year were that throughout the year, as we're doing our shows, if we come across a match that is probably match of the year worthy, we would add it to the list, but compare it by company. Mm-hmm. So we had WWE, AEW, NXT, New Japan, and the rest.
Everybody else.
Right? So if New Japan had a really badass match, cool, we'll put it there. And then later on in the year, if they had another match that was a little bit better, we compare it between the New Japan and New Japan, right? The same thing with AEW, so on and so forth. So then we came up with this list. Now, at the end of the year, we have the list for all those different categories. Yeah. Now we're going to look to see which out of the categories for each representative of each company is the best out of all of those. Okay. We do that usually with the scoring system. We have sat and watched all the matches before we started recording. Yeah, it feels like years ago now. And we're basically going to say, hey, this is my number 5. This is my number 4. And each one of those picks gets a number assigned to it, right? Yeah. So, hey, if this is my number 5, it gets 1 point. If it's my number 1, it gets 5 points. And between Scott's list, my list, Chris's list, we do the math. And then whichever one has the most points wins.
Yeah. Not to remember what remember my order.
Yeah, you got to remember your order.
So here's the schedule. January the 5th, we had the rematch between Hangman Adam Page and Bryan Danielson for the AEW title on Dynamite. We had Cody Rhodes versus Sammy Guevara ladder match to unify the TNT titles.
Somebody try to almost kill himself?
Yeah, on Dynamite in January. We still had, in January, Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins, Royal Rumble for the world title.
Yeah.
Jesus.
March, we had CM Punk versus MJF dog collar match from Revolution. Mm-hmm. March, the next day, Alpha Academy, RK Bro, Seth Rollins, and Kevin Owens 3-way tag match, Monday Night Raw. That made our list.
That was a very surprise banger
but it was a tag titles. Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair at WrestleMania 38 was on our list at one point. And we're rounding it out with Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins, Hell in a Cell. That was also on our match of the year list.
Now, one thing that I do want to notate is there aren't any New Japan matches on that you just ran down. And we only really have one New Japan match that's on our actual match of the year. And I think that's mostly because I've been really lazy on watching New Japan. Hector had been pregnant for most of the year. Well, his wife had been pregnant and then finally had a baby. So we really didn't get the Hector expertise of the New Japan on the show this year as much. So there's not going to be as much New Japan representation. All that being said, we do have one match to represent New Japan. We'll see how it comes out in the rankings.
So, match number 1, February 15th, Carmelo Hayes versus Cameron Grimes for the NXT North American title, NXT Vengeance Day.
That's the NXT representative.
Yes. There are some matches on this list that we were voted on by 1 people or 2 people. It wasn't a consensus. It was just based on trust.
Especially
and I believe
that there was a lot of different points in the year where some of us, like me, weren't watching wrestling
or weren't here. We had Arnold sometimes. We had Hector sometimes. We have Scott tonight. We have been the consistent, and even then, there's been some time.
Even with me and you being the consistent, there was a lot of shit I wasn't watching. So it's a full year's labor of love that sometimes all the loving doesn't get spread around.
Carmelo Hayes, Cameron Grimes. I saw it. I was entrusted to put this on the list, so I'm gonna shut my mouth. Y'all talk about it because it's the first time y'all saw it today.
So we're not giving where we've ranked it. We're just talking about it. We're just talking about the match itself.
Just talk about the match.
Yeah. I was very pleasantly surprised by the match because after NXT changed colors, I gave it 2 weeks and then I stopped watching it.
Cold turkey.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not into it anymore. The black and gold gone away. I stopped. So I never watched this match. I was familiar with Cameron Grimes. I really liked his gimmick, the To the Moon stuff. It made sense.
So did you not see any of the $1 Million Man stuff?
Was
that
no, I did.
Okay,
I watched some of that.
The tail end.
Yeah, that was LA Night.
Yeah,
that was good stuff too.
I remember this was in February, and this was after the $1 Million Man stuff.
Yeah,
and this was more of Cameron Grimes's past the $1 Million Man stuff. He's a baby face.
He's certified. He's pushed,
and he's rich just because he's rich. There's no more development of how he became rich with the GameStop investment and all that stuff. Right. Yeah. So now Carmelo, I wasn't as familiar with because he wasn't that big in 2021, but I know that he was a thing, and So the match itself, I enjoyed. I thought it was a good match. I thought the Between the Bells was nice. However, and again, remember, we're talking about match of the year. So there's no bad match.
We have different criteria.
And we have different
if
criteria.
You're a fan of the show, you're already aware.
But we're gonna nitpick because this is the time to nitpick where we're trying to get the best of the year.
Have at it.
My nitpick on here was that it was too indie. It was too indie.
NXT.
I understand that. But it felt sloppy indie. It felt like there was a lot of stuff that didn't make sense that was done for just doing something.
Welcome to the end of the year review, Scott.
What?
Okay.
I didn't get that at all.
Oh, okay. Cool.
No,
Yeah.
I want to hear what else, but
I still love you.
So like there was this thing where Carmelo, he rolled off of Cameron's back when Cameron went down to like bend over.
Oh yeah,
after
there were spots like that.
Yeah, and it's like, why did you even do that? And you could tell he hesitated because he was waiting to get super kicked.
Yeah.
And then he did. It was like, okay, that was dumb. And then there was another couple of moves there where there was just like extra flippy dippy for no reason. And it was like they were just trying to do things to show off and to do things and to try to make the match better by just adding stuff that didn't make sense psychologically. So yeah, I felt like it lacked a little something. And I think while I get it that Trick is a thing, I didn't want to see Trick interfering in this match. And he kind of
towards the end.
Yeah, he did. he was
Got
a
couple
factor
punches in.
a little bit, but when we're talking match of the year, this is the best match to represent all of NXT. And it's like, oh, this is just a garden variety match where there's somebody interfering. While the in-ring might be superb. Yeah, that's kind of how I felt about it.
I mean, that's fair.
All right. What do you say, Scott?
I mean, I didn't get the indie. It's hard to say that you don't get any of the indiness to it, but there was a lot of like in the early start. There's a lot of chain wrestling and stuff like that, and like it felt more like to me it felt more like a WWE match with some of the indie involved instead of being an indie show trying to be a WWE show. You know what I mean? Like, like there's on this list, there's a way more indie show on this show where it's fucking
indiness, yeah.
And I just thought it was a good balance of both.
Okay.
High spots and there was some stuff where you're like, well, why did he do that? Like
there was one spot where you're like, how the fuck did he do that?
Yeah. that springboard bounce back leg drop was cool.
Yeah.
And I don't mind the interference because it makes sense when it comes to the characters. And for me, that's one of the things that I have about wrestling is like there has to be a story. Yeah. So like watching some of these matches, I don't know what the fuck's going on. I don't know what the story is behind it, but I know more so there. So it kind of made sense. And yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I thought it was a good match. Like I could see why it would be on there. Like from what I've seen of NXT, which I watched a decent amount, but nothing's really got me to that point where it's like, oh, I'm actually gonna watch this and not be on my phone or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a fun turn off your brain match. Right?
That's fair.
Just sit back and watch it, and it was fun.
Yeah.
Chris.
This is probably for me the match that proved to me that Carmelo's ready to be on the main roster.
Okay.
Maybe for Cameron also, but I think that they've dropped the ball on him since this match. And then McCreevy probably got hurt along the way also.
What surprised
Trick did well as far as emoting, as far as worrying, as far as making sure his partner's up on the up and up.
There was some good shots where he's like holding his heart after careful. Like he was doing his best Heyman impersonation.
Or Cornette almost.
But like whenever you see Brock and Roman fighting and you see Heyman in the back and he's like having a heart attack and he's like got his hands on there, like he was doing some good things like that.
It's a good start. I mean, going through the match and hearing the commentary, which I love the chemistry with Vic Joseph and Wade Barrett. I'm so sad that's gone. That's another issue with NXT. Like I can't stand Booker T yelling at everything all the time
and having bad takes.
Yeah,
Booker T is a bad take machine.
Yeah. It doesn't look like he's going anywhere. So
yeah. The last bad take that he had of the year was about Mandy Rose, and he had said, "Oh yeah, so she would rather take that $1 million, and if you live in large, that money's not gonna last. So she quit having income to have $1 million." And I was like, "Look, that $1 million is what she made. She didn't make the $1 million and stop making money. That website didn't get shut down.
It's a subscription.
It's a subscription. She's going to continue to make that money.
Maybe not necessarily the $1 million.
Worst case scenario, if she lost power and she ain't doing any more fucking videos, that $1 million is about 6 years or at least 5 years worth of income that she would have had she slaved away 5 more years in NXT. Maybe. So she's good for 5 years at least if she never does anything else.
I don't know what the pay is.
I mean, obviously it wasn't a lot if she was making more monthly with her subscribers than actually the NXT contract.
That is true.
Some of the stuff that we all noticed about, that might have been a little sloppy, or this might have been a little over exaggerated. I chalked it up to either Grimes is that excited to try or that overstimulated to try to get the pin that he overshot something and he has to come back around and do it, Or
I forgot about that one. Yeah.
or it's NXT, and that's the place where you can fuck up.
Yeah.
As opposed to being uber polished on the main roster.
The thing about these matches, which you go through all of them, there was sloppiness in every single one of them, but like it's not a botch. You know what I mean? Like when you're watching it, you're like, oh god, he's gonna try this and he can't do it. It's like, oh, he tried it and it just a slight second off. Like so.
And also to go to your part where you're like, well, a lot of these matches I saw, I don't know the story within them. That's the commentary's responsibility to fill you in on what's going on.
Yeah.
We give all the flowers to Omega Okada 3 because the bell hadn't even rung. By the time both the wrestlers made their entrance, the commentary made damn clear why this match is happening, what's important about this match, what the fuck they've been through in the tournament, let alone their own rivalry. Mm-hmm. And by the time that bell rings, you're like this. There's a moment in one of these matches where Abel went from like this to like this.
Yeah.
And it's the commentary's job to make you do that.
Yeah.
So
this particular match was for the North American title.
Unified North American title.
Oh, see, I didn't even know that part. Unified. What? Huh?
So
how so? Why?
So Roddy had the cruiserweight. Roddy had the cruiserweight, and Mello had the North American, and they put it together. So Roddy and Carmelo fought in 2021. Carmelo won. So they unified everything. They killed the cruiserweight.
Oh, so it wasn't like Cameron Grimes.
They just both have titles.
This wasn't a unification match. It's just the name of the title.
It was for,
Okay, so the name of the title was Unified North American Championship. Okay, that's what this was for. Yeah. All right, cool.
And commentary was not annoying. Commentary filled me in at least. Part of that is you guys hadn't been watching NXT consistently up to that point. I kind of had, so I already knew what was going on. So I was more invested in it, but to me, what NXT had to offer, it deserved to be on here.
Arnold in the live chat says this. He says, the match was okay. I hope that they both kill it when they go to the main roster this year. But Carmelo versus Balor was better. Then why wasn't it nominated? Why didn't it make it to the list?
That's going to be
that could go back to the whole thing of, well, maybe Arnold saw it, but Arnold wasn't here. Or maybe that was on a week or something else happened. Or I didn't see it, so we didn't do it. Like, again, this isn't a perfect system, but it's the only system we got. So
I got a system for y'all, but we'll talk about it later.
I mean, yes, that's going to be part of it. After we're done, we always want to try to maybe reevaluate the system for the new year for 2023. So if you have some ideas, hold on to it until we're done.
Yeah. Is this up to you if you want us to reject you on the air or when we turn the camera off?
Yeah, I got this idea.
Arnold says Carmelo versus Balor was in Wales and nobody watched it.
Sure.
Okay. It was in Wales?
Was it Clash of the Castle? It was on there?
Was it Clash of Castle? Why would nobody watch it if it was a Clash of Castle? No, Clash of Castle wasn't an NXT show. Was there just an NXT show that just went to Wales? Or was it maybe before? The fuck are you talking about, Arnold?
Yeah. Help me. I don't know.
You're Scottish. You should know.
2 different countries.
Ring of Honor's participation. FTR versus the Briscoes. Supercard of Honor. Right here in Texas.
First match.
First match. Match number 1 of the 3. This was your first time watching it today.
Yeah.
Tell them what you thought.
No, I'm just kidding.
All right, Arnold.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. It was fun. They did indie spots. They spent 80% of the match inside the ring. There wasn't a whole lot of, dives, and the dives made sense. The spots made sense in that story. There was a little bit of the hardcore with like some of the table spots and the suplex and stuff, and then there was some funny parts with like him spitting on him and him throwing the chair, like
the ref catching the chair.
Oh, the ref catching the chair.
All that kind of stuff was like it had the ideal, the best kind of match you want is something that there might be a spot that makes you laugh, but it's a serious and you believe those guys. You believe that those 4 guys were fighting. You know what I mean? And it wasn't like
it wasn't a joke.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought it was solid, yeah.
Yeah. I fucking loved it.
It's a good representation of both teams. You know what I
mean?
To
an extension, it's a great representation of Ring of Honor.
That too.
Yeah.
Because every Ring of Honor show we went to or any pay-per-view that we saw back in the day, back even 2005, 2010, that's the quality you got.
Yeah, it's
In
hard
some
hitting,
shape or
it's fast, it's fun, it's entertaining.
This is ROH, but the ROH basically falls under the rest category, right? You read off some of the honorable mentions, and one of the honorable mentions that didn't make it on there was one that Portia brought up to me, which was Speedball Mike Bailey versus Trey Miguel for the X Division Championship that happened. I think it was like June on Impact. So when you're talking about the rest, you're talking about indies, but the two biggest indies are going to be ROH and Impact. So for 2023, I'm not sure exactly how we're going to do it. This may be a little bit debate after we're done with this, but for 2022, it was kind of hard to put ROH in the rest category in my mind because it's now AEW second brand. So it was hard for me to put in there, especially when you have FTR in there. It's FTR versus the Briscoes. But all that went away when I actually watched the match. And I got that Briscoe flavor, right? Yeah. And the Caprice Coleman doing the announcing, like Bobby Cruz doing the ring announcing. Like, all right, this is a ROH show. This is a ROH match. And it looked like beautiful.
It didn't have It didn't have the big fancy AEW and that entrance. Budget. It had nothing like that. It was a small arena. The Ring of Honor entrance was small. It had the LED screens, which they always have.
Yeah.
Little pyro, just a little bit.
Yeah. A little gritty. Yeah. A little gritty. And I think the match itself complemented that atmosphere. And that match made me very hopeful for, it may have been false hope, but at the time it made me very hopeful for what is going to come of ROH's or AEW's version of ROH. Yeah. And even going back and rewatching it today, there was a lot of really hard-hitting stuff, a lot of things that, like, as much as I don't want to like the Briscoes, I have to like the Briscoes. As much as I think sometimes FDR could be boring, they weren't boring in that match. Like, holy shit, both of those teams can go, And you're right, Scott, about the funny parts, right? Because FTR and the Briscoes more so. The Briscoes are
Mark specifically with the redneck kung fu.
Yeah, the redneck kung fu, the Sussex County chicken, right?
He's just chopping.
It's stupid shit, but he's good at it, and it looks like it's still devastating, even though it's stupid shit. Yeah. So I really liked it, and it's gonna be
the best way
to on the list.
Like, whenever you think of like a match of the year candidate, it's always like, for me, it's always one of those ones where it's like, if you, let's say you're trying to get into wrestling, your friend's trying to get you into wrestling, and you're like, what do I need to watch?
Watch this,
right?
Yeah.
And if you said you ever heard of Ring of Honor, and they're like, what is that? And it's like, well, you could go. I mean, you could go back and watch every single wrestler that's in the world, like that's popular now, has a Ring of Honor career, Danielson and whatever. But if you were like, this year alone, have you seen what's Ring of Honor like next year? Like 2023, Ring of Honor is going to be a thing. What is that going to be? I'm like, you need to watch this match, and that would be you.
This could be one of those.
Yeah, and be like, watch this. Watch these four guys go at it. These two guys are Ring of Honor veterans. These two guys are newbies that have never been in Ring of Honor. Just the presentation alone would bring you in there.
And I'm going to take that concept and take it another step further. The other step further is you want to go to, or sometimes at least, and in this situation it works, you want to go to a starting point, especially when you're trying to show somebody wrestling, right? This is a good starting point because it was one of the first shows for the new ROH, and it was the first in a feud between the Briscoes and the FTR, and it was a good, like, hey, get into here, and then eventually you're going to see the Thanos snap.
Yeah.
But it's not yet. This is building it, and that's where we were there, and that again goes to my whole historical significance thing. Why is this match significant? It's significant in the realm of 2022 because of it being ROH getting re-put back on the map. It's solidifying the run that FTR had as winning all the titles everywhere, And then it also had Mark and Jay Briscoe show that they can still go, and they're still relevant even in 2022.
Asterisk for your historical significance.
Yes.
That weekend was their Hall of Fame. It was Punk, Danielson, Joe, and the Briscoes. They were inducted in the Hall of Fame. Wild champions, tag champions, and they lost it to FTR. And the significance, we got 2 more. This played out all fucking years.
Yeah.
So this was the beginning, the foundation of something, and then like, oh shit,
Chris, go.
Man, my nephew and I walked out of the arena. He was yapping for 45 minutes straight about that goddamn match.
that wasn't even the main event.
And it wasn't the main event.
It's not the one that's fresh in your mind.
Yeah.
Because you easily could have been like, the next match been like, it could have been just a train wreck and be like, man, that match was crazy. But
what was the main event?
Grisham and
Bandito unifying the Ring of Honor Championship.
So to go from that, just to be like, and I'm sure there was a women's match or a tag.
Something Nightingale wrestled.
There was like something in between that match and the main event. So like, you're talking another hour of your life.
Joe returned.
Yeah.
All that happened there.
So you're missing like another hour. So the fact that after a show you're like,
Lethal versus Moriarty was banger too on that show. There was a lot of good stuff on that show too for it being the first time ever. But man, that match. So there's things there that that I've rarely, if not have ever seen. Example number 1: whenever they tease that somebody's gonna get suplexed outside of the ring, it never happens. They get thrown back in the ring, and then there's one time it happened. And then the first thought was, now I understand why I never see it. Fuck!
But not only was it a suplex, it was like a regular ass suplex.
Yeah, standing straight up.
We literally talked about
crouch.
The 3 of us talked about Jericho. How Jericho did the I'm already falling, come with me.
Fall, like a dump almost.
And like they've been doing that spot every so often on Dynamite and stuff now. So it's kind of becoming that
his next move.
Seen this move already, but for that to be like, I'm holding you up, I'm giving you a suplex. We're both doing.
What was it, Mark or Jay?
Jay.
It was Jay. It was Jay and Dax.
Jay and Dax.
Yeah,
oh,
and Dax was like kind of turning.
Yeah.
And Jay straightened him out. Yeah. Which like, shit.
There were times in that match where Cash was tapping before the big spot. Cash was tapping on Dax like, "You're good. You okay? You got this." Like communication in between the teams to make sure they're all right. When somebody gets hurt, it was a top rope suplex in the ring, and he was checking on him like that. Loving Caprice's comment on commentary where he said, the Briscoes have been doing this so long, they don't speak our language. It's in grunts. Yeah. It's almost osmosis that they just do what they do. And you were saying more than once, it was fluid.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that was smooth.
Yeah. It was tag team
second
wrestling.
nature,
It was tag team wrestling, which you don't really get you don't get anywhere. Like, you barely get any good tag matches in WWE. AEW is just, it becomes
it's choreographed.
Yeah, it becomes a tornado tag, and there's dudes jumping here, and then there's flipping,
and
then
there's
interference and stuff. You never
get
4 dudes, 2 guys holding on to the tag rope and being like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this spot and shit. So,
which they did for this match, but for the majority of the match. Yeah, because it did break down. They had their breakdowns here and there where it was all 4 of them. 80%
in the ring.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I noticed is whenever there's 2 of the best of anything, most of the time it's still the bad guy gets the upper hand for 80% of that match. Mm-hmm. And then they start to volley back and forth. There were volleying from the beginning of this match. Mm-hmm. You couldn't tell which one was the well, you could tell which was babyface and heel, but they're cheering for everybody. But you can never tell that old school psychology of, the bad guy's going to get 15 minutes worth of heat. No, they kept going back and forth to where it was an actual competitive match. Mm-hmm. It felt sport to me because they were both proving why they both belonged there. And that stood out to me more than anything.
You got any comments?
We did a lot of commenting right there.
No, I'm talking about on the
in the live chat. No. Not any that I see. Yeah.
Fucking Arnold misspelled whales. He spelled whales like the fish.
The mammal. It's not a fish.
The porpoise.
That's why we never saw it. They wrestled in a whale.
Wade says that no, it was the same weekend as Wales, but it was here in the States.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They're just on NXT or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Last minute introduction, even though I had mentioned this during the year more than once about this match, and we wound up putting it on here. New Japan's entry.
Right. The only entry from New Japan, but
Well,
that's mostly because of our my neglect and the fact that we didn't have Hector because of the pregnancy and the new baby and stuff.
Capital Collision, May 14th.
New
Eddie
Japan had a
Kingston.
show in Washington, D.C.
Yes. Tomohiro Ishii against Eddie Kingston.
Mm-hmm.
That was you guys' first time watching it, so Abel, have at it.
I've never ever really been an Eddie Kingston fan.
You made that clear.
A lot of people, over the past year have been like, "Oh my God, Eddie Kingston!" I think you even mentioned him in being like a rising star this year.
Yeah.
Eddie Kingston. I'm still not on the boat with him because while you're right, he is a good promo. I just see him as just some dude that they just got off of the street and like wants to be a wrestler and has heart, but that's it. That's how I view him, right? This match, however, showed me that he's got a lot of fight in him and maybe more fight than what I've seen in other matches of his. But it's not without its flaws. And I think some of its flaws is that it was a little bit too heavy on the strikes and that's it. Now, I get it that there's this style of match that's going around. Hell, there's another match on our match of the year list that's the same exact goddamn style where it's chop, punch, chop, punch, chop, punch, and that's what this was. And Ishii is one of the best at that, to deliver them, but also take them. But
And then just stand there like no selling it.
there was a lot of points in the match where I was kind of bored. And I was like, all right, they're just going to keep hitting each other.
I don't mean
All right.
to call you guys out, but obviously this was the last match we saw. Both of y'all were on your phone a bit during this match, so I could tell that the only issue that I have with this match, and it isn't so much its fault, but I feel like we have another match that has the same style that did it better, or that the ambiance and everything all together is just a little bit higher.
Yeah, I'm the same as you. Like, Eddie's good on the mic. And when he was with LAX in the old days, with Impact, it was cool. Like, as a mouthpiece, like, because he can get under your skin if he's a heel, and he can make you cry as a babyface. But his matches are always, I'm just gonna punch and kick and suplex, and something about that style of match that I used to like enjoy. Now it just kind of. I've seen it all before. Like I've seen, AEW has kind of ruined that style because every single match in AEW has the square off. I'm gonna punch you. You're gonna punch me. I'm gonna punch you. You're gonna punch me. I'm gonna chop you, and so forth. And so seeing that consistently, and then it's just it kind of waters it down.
You just answered why I haven't watched New Japan as much as I was in the beginning. When we first started doing this and we were exposed to Kota Ibushi and Shinsuke Nakamura, it was new to us and it blew our fucking mind.
Exactly.
And now we got to the point that just alone in New Japan, 90% of the matches are that same way. Mm-hmm. And at some point when everyone is doing everything and everyone's here, and nothing stands out, what do you do?
Yeah.
Which when we get to, which will tie into the WWE one.
Yeah.
Where you were saying they did the same thing, but
it just
felt different.
It felt like it meant more.
Yeah. Because it doesn't happen every week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could literally watch a match on Dynamite and it could be Sammy versus Daniel Bryan.
Bryan Danielson.
Whatever. They're gonna do the elbows. They're gonna do the chops. And it just stops the match completely.
Half the match is gonna be outside of the ring.
Yeah, and then there was like parts. It was like a 15-minute match, right? Like it was over 15 minutes because they almost went home right after the announcer said 15 minutes. It went by.
Okay,
and it's like half of that was hitting each other, and I'm like, I've seen it before. Like
I hate to sound like an asshole. We can't all be Kenta Kobashi.
Oh, god damn! All right,
and that doesn't go for Eddie. That goes for damn near everyone in New Japan and people in AEW that want to emulate that Bushido strong style stuff. You know, for all that fault, the people that stand out are Nakamura with the Michael Jackson, Freddie Mercury thing, and his kicks.
Yeah,
he did different things. He sprinkled different things where you can have that Bushido style without looking like every other person that looks like every other person in the ring doing the same stuff. Which is why Jay White stands out to me, because he has a different presentation, a different aura, a different charisma, you know, as opposed to, and to an extent, Okada also doesn't always do that stuff all the time. He's added some moves to try to ground him a little bit and slow his pace down. You know, it took me a while to get the hang of that. But that's the issue with that strong style, that it could only last so long. The reason it's fresh, if we're going to bleed into the next match, is because in WWE, we don't see that style of match every time with every person, whether it's man or woman, to where you save it for the right time and the right audience and the right environment, and you fucking print money.
Well, don't bleed into it yet.
Go for it.
Because we have Hector in the live chat. Of course, when we start talking about
who's going to tell me Ospreay and Okada from fucking G1 should have been on the list and fucking...
So this is what Hector says. Hector says, oh, that was me. I guess that nominated this match.
I nominated the match, but you...
Did he bring it up? Is that what it was? Okay, he said, Ishii versus Kingston. He says, New Japan had a lot better matches. Ospreay versus Takagi, for example.
Which we've had on our Match of the Year winner before.
Yeah. And he says, didn't Ishii versus the Kingston happen before Sheamus versus Gunther?
Yep.
And then he said, the difference is that WWE has weeks of build-up, and New Japan gives you the storytelling in the match. Yeah. Okay, let's talk a little bit about that, the storytelling in the match. I get it, storytelling. One guy wanted to win, the other guy wanted to win. And they just kept hitting each other, and Animo or Bushido, right? I don't think this was for anything, was it? Was it just for the sake of having a badass match?
It's a match on the card.
There was a match on the card
to get you to go.
Okay, that's all it was.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, Hector, I understand you got a newborn. If you can make some time this next year, maybe to do some more New Japan stuff, we'll probably... It's been proven that we need to rely on you for the New Japan shit.
But you gave your rebuttal.
Yeah.
Let me tag you on that.
Okay.
Their weekly show that's on the network is inconsistent because it doesn't have Okada, Jay White, Nanahashi, Naito, these stars from New Japan every week on a consistent basis, like Roman Reigns is on either Raw or SmackDown every week, just like Sheamus is on Raw or SmackDown every week, just like everyone else. It's not an established weekly show, let alone a show that you have to have subscription to the network to have. You can't just hop on YouTube like NWA and watch it for free every week. So that's not fleshed out either. So that's why it's New Japan right now, they're like too big to be little, but too little to be big. Kind of, they're stuck in the middle where they just need to figure out, hey, if we're gonna go, no pun intended, all in on the brand, do we have a weekly show that's live in front of a studio audience in Japan that has Okada every week, that has Naito every week, that has English commentary, or have you talked about earlier, subtitles after the fact, to where we can understand what they're saying and why they hate each other so much, as opposed to we like New Japan just because we know that January the 4th they're going to give us 4 hours of some bomb ass shit.
Yeah.
And just take that for what that is.
And I think to say that New Japan doesn't do storylines is a little bit incorrect. They do storylines. I mean, part of the whole reason why you're even wearing a Bullet Club shirt, part of the reason why anybody knew who Kenny Omega was because of what, 5 years ago, there was all that story of, the Bullet Club was taking over, but the Bullet Club is now fractured because of the Elite. But the Elite has the leader that is with this other guy that they're the Golden Lovers, and but he wants to be the champ, so he's got to fight this dude Okada. But Okada's really good, so he can't beat him. But it took another match, and one of them was an hour long. And like, there's story there. There was a story here with Kingston and Ishii.
But at the same time, the wrestling we've grown up on, we have a segment, promo of the year. At some point, you have to pick up a mic and sell me to watch the next match or sell me to watch the upcoming pay-per-view, and it doesn't exist for most of that roster.
I mean, we even talked about how this match was the pre-show for All In. All Out.
Yeah, the rematch was a pre-show for All Out.
But nobody. I mean, I don't watch New Japan as much as I used to too, so it's like.
And part of that is our fault. Like I'm not going to ask for a bunch of Japanese wrestlers that have been wrestling in Japan since 1972 to all of a sudden cut English promos because I want to understand.
No.
I have to make the effort to understand them because that's them.
Hector says you're a bunch of dicks. No, he didn't say that.
Not the first person to
He didn't.
I'm not gonna lie with you.
Fans, we're fickle. We can fucking.
He didn't say that. He said just as much as strong style is in New Japan style, you could say that the WWE style is more technical. The weekly show in New Japan, the weekly show is New Japan strong, and it can be considered their version of NXT. Okay.
Because Jay White, from what I know, is the only guy. He had a little run there. He had the U.S. title, and it was the USJ Invitational instead of USA Invitational. So
I get it.
But still, even for Japan's fan base, they don't have a weekly show where these guys cut promos. Like they don't have a 15-minute segment where Okada and Tanahashi just talk to each other about what makes them.
It's not that style.
It's
just wrestling.
Yeah, it's like Broadway compared to Hollywood.
Now, all that being said, there is a lot of, again, we're going to go back to the theme of incomplete. This is the only reason why this match is on the list is because it's the only one that like anybody kind of brought up throughout the year on this show.
I saw a couple of New Japan matches this year, about 4 or 5.
Yeah, on this
was the best one.
Houston Wrestling Radio's opinion. This is no way at all a comprehensive review of New Japan Pro Wrestling throughout the year, right? This is just what our ignorant asses think. So yeah, that's the caveat there. All right. Enough shitting on New Japan by accident, because after we're done with this, we're going to look ahead at 2023, and there's going to be something that we're going to. I'm going to want to
that shit.
Yeah, I'm going to want to bring up about New Japan that happened already in this year.
Let the Homer talk for a second. Gunther versus Sheamus in Wales.
Oh man, so I didn't watch that with y'all. I saw it. I watched it live, not in person. Just. I was
in the moment at home
on Saturday. Saturday afternoon. I don't have a job, so that weekend, you know. So, but yeah, it's the same thing, but it's an ignorant thing. But I knew those guys more. So Sheamus has been on my TV for 20 years, right? Same time as Cena, so he's been on the TV for 20 years. So and then Gunther. 15. Whatever, 15, 20, whatever. Like it's the same shit, you know. He's been all the different characters, and then seeing this is probably on that card of Clash of the Castle. That was probably the one that I was like, I'm watching that one. Like, there's some stuff on that show that it was a solid show, but I didn't really care to watch. Like, but that was one I was like, I'm putting my phone down. I'm going to sit here and watch this and watch these two guys because I knew what it would be.
Yeah. Gunther's going to chop the shit out of Sheamus. Sheamus is going to turn into a human light bright piece.
Yeah.
And can't Sheamus take it? He's a fella. He's a brawling brute. But can he be out-brawled or brawled to the point where he just like, I can't brawl no more? And then
also the fact that Imperium came back.
Reunited as a whole.
That was really cool.
Kind of thing. That is still, again.
Well, as whole as they can be.
Yeah.
Going back to the storyline of why are these two guys fighting? And it's like, you know, they're
title.
Yeah,
continental title.
And
outside of the US.
And then afterwards, it's the group got back together kind of thing. So I dug it. I think it's it was a chop fest, but they did some cool stuff.
Arnold is still sore from watching Sheamus in the movie.
Eichester,
yeah. I think Corey Graves said that he hit him so hard that it knocked out Corey's teeth. Yeah. I want to give this match a whole lot of flowers, but before I do that, I need to put down a little fertilizer, right? Throw down some shit. I think that this was the main roster's version of Walter versus Dragunov, and Dragunov did a better job of doing his comebacks than Sheamus did. Sheamus kind of rode on the laurels of he's established and you never seen him get his ass kicked like that before. Whereas Ilya Dragunov, you expected him to get that ass kicked like that. But when he made a comeback, it was more astonishing. Oh, God, this little kid's coming back for some more. And I never saw that with Sheamus. With Sheamus, it was like, okay, he's trying to make a comeback. Cool. I expected it. And he shut him down too quick and too fast and too often. And I really expected to see Sheamus really get a comeback where it's like, oh, fuck. Oh, shit. Now here's the Sheamus that I know. That's the only criticism I have of the match.
That's hard to compare though, because Sheamus is
he's a big boy. He's established big boy.
But like Sheamus has never been that smaller, almost cruiserweight, wrestler. He's always been that big brute. So to compare him with Dragunov, where it's like. Or even you can go back to like Tyler Bates. Like Tyler Bates is in Dragunov are more on that same line where it's like, and I think Walter goes better with those kind of guys because he sells better.
His match with Rey Mysterio on SmackDown is another example.
Again, it's not about style. It's about whether or not I believed he was going to have the upper hand in the match. I never believed that Sheamus had the upper hand. I did believe that Dragunov had the upper hand, and it was surprising.
I think that's just because you've known Sheamus for you know what Sheamus is capable of. You know what and
I think it was more surprising that Sheamus didn't have the upper hand in the match. And that's what I was wanting. I was wanting it to be a little bit more 50-50, and this match was more like 90-10. It was like
80,
Walter
20.
I think this is 80-20 for this is where Gunther kind of established. This is where he became established.
That's what I'm saying. This is the only fertilizer I'm gonna put down because go into the flowers part. Historical significance. This is what put Gunther on the map
in WWE.
In WWE, main roster WWE. It solidified his ass in front of the entire WWE universe. Also, this historical significance in fucking Wales, right? We had said this that, oh man, this is going to be important to see whether or not WWE is going to put the W back in WWE, the world of wrestling entertainment, right? This is an experiment that Triple H is trying to pull off to see if he could do it because they even showed the fucking clips. The last time they were there was fucking 1992. 1992
for a pay-per-view,
right? For pay-per-view. And so it's like this
for a mainstream pay-per-view because they had NXT pay-per-views.
Regardless, right? It needed to be. This needed to get pulled off and pulled off well, and the entire show was great. And yes, while the main event was really, really good, this was really, really, really good, and that was good for business altogether. And not more historical significance. I think this is where Sheamus also turned a little bit of a corner. As much as I threw down a lot of fertilizer there on Sheamus and him not coming back, as much as I said that, the flower grew out of it of banger after banger after banger. That this was the first banger. Right?
It's very low key, but now that you mention it, if there's a very close second place when you have the mentality that we all have at some point of Randy Orton being boring, we never really mention it a lot. Sheamus is right there.
Yes,
because his I won't say it negative, but like his career at certain points had just gotten stagnant.
Yeah,
and he had been stagnant for a while. Brawling Brutes. Yeah, the heel stuff was like, yeah, we're getting there. This is what brought me around to Sheamus. He's giving me more new life to Sheamus that I'm like, all right, I'll watch Sheamus throw down some hands. And now that he's teaming with McIntyre, all right, I'll watch Sheamus throw down some more hands.
The Banger Bros.
Yeah, it was god awful.
So this reestablished Sheamus, rejuvenated his career. This established Gunther. You got the Imperium group all together as a whole. This happened at a show where you needed to have something really fucking good happen so that they could take it to maybe expanding out into other parts of the world. And it did, because we just had the announcement that they're going to London for Money in the Bank, cool. That all started here from this little experiment that they did.
They're within the next 5 years. There's going to be Mania.
I hope so.
Wembley,
Yeah.
It's happening.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen. Either Wembley or there's one of the soccer teams, Tottenham. They literally have an NFL stadium. They built an NFL stadium.
Oh wow.
But the soccer team uses it. But like my brother did a tour, and when you go in there,
It's massive.
It looks like an NFL stadium inside and there's
Nice.
there's a food court, there's a brewery, like all those kind of things, but it's designed to be an NFL football size stadium. But it has a soccer team because that's where they played when they go to the Jaguars or some shit like. So it's gonna happen, and I think this not necessarily just this match, but that Cardiff show fucking
shine the light.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at it. Now we're getting. It's going to be a one event every year. We're going to go to UK. And we're going to go to
make it. Well, besides they already have the establishment with Saudi, and even then, we all have our opinions of it. But for the fans that reside there, it's a big deal for WWE to be going around the world again, and especially now that I don't want to say COVID's dead, but it's manageable.
And the
They
difference
can go
between the
around.
Saudi show and this show, the reason why this is more of an experiment is because the Saudi show, the Saudis pay for it. The Saudi government pays
It's
for
already
it.
from.
This show wasn't like that. This is like WWE going to fucking
my only concern
Austin
now is
or
the fact
Toronto,
is
or, you know?
what's going to happen with the sale and what's happening in.
We'll get there.
yeah.
We'll get
I
there.
mean, who knows with that? But that's a 2023 problem.
So the match starts, and they're fucking the rest of the teams are fighting each other in the ring, and Gunther and Sheamus are still having that stare down. They fall out and they're brawling outside the ring. The stare down still between Gunther and Sheamus. I'm like, this is gonna be fucking.
And
rad.
that was a good way of getting rid of all the extras, right?
Yeah.
Whereas, when I was talking about Trick being ringside for the NXT match, I was like, that kind of might somewhat take it away because it makes it feels like it's normal, ordinary. You want the big fight feel. You just want to focus on these two and let them see what they could do for, oh, hey, this is where a championship also, by the way, So get rid of the ancillary characters, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think my parents watched it too. When they were over there. Well, they were.
Live, like they were in the arena?
Yeah.
No,
they were in Scotland when they watched it, so it's on regular TV over there. So
okay.
It's not pay-per-view, so my dad was like, "What is this?"
We moving on?
Yeah.
Death Triangle versus United Empire.
Oh man.
Chris, you start. You haven't started.
Yeah, you start.
This is the first time you saw this match.
This is the first time I saw this match from start to finish. Fuck. If this didn't happen all the time, this would have blown my fucking mind.
Oh.
Yeah, because
it's the same argument.
Everyone's doing stuff. So it's not like you're just focusing on two people and then the other four are just sitting there chilling ringside, just watching, just looking around. No, this was the definition of a trios match where everyone's fighting everyone.
Like you're literally getting the best of 7 matches on TV every week. It's like you can only watch a trios match
every now and then.
And
of that caliber.
And this was part of a tournament.
Yeah. This wasn't even the semifinals. This was the quarterfinals.
No, this was the semis.
This was the semis.
This was the semis.
Wrong. Because there was a Dynamite final, and then there was a Rampage final, which is technically the semifinals. The actual finals was at All Out.
Pay-per-view. It was
at the pay-per-view.
Was it?
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Quarterfinals was this, semifinals, and then All Out. With the way they worded that whole fucking tournament,
because House of Black,
it obviously confused him, and he's a diehard wrestling fan.
House of Black and
Dark Order.
Dark Order was the
on the other side of the bracket.
was on the Rampage side.
Yeah.
And then House of Black fought.
No,
because it was the Elite.
The Elite fought the winners, which was it's right there. United Empire. Elite fought Empire in the finals on Dynamite, the Dynamite finals, and then Elite beat them, and Elite went to face Dark Order. Dark Order beat House of Black.
Oh yeah.
That was Elite beating Dark Order.
All that shit was so confusing.
Yeah.
But goddamn,
they can't just fucking make a simple.
So if you've seen Ricochet versus Ospreay, or if you've seen Omega versus Ospreay, or if you've seen fucking that it's turned up, it's multiplied. Obviously, it's turned up because you have all the other people, and they all play their parts well because they all do the flips. It's I get tongue-tied trying to describe this match. There's so much going on. The only thing, if anything, I didn't realize it until we were watching it here. They went through 3 fucking commercial breaks. And we had the blessing of watching the Fight TV feed, which had no commercial breaks. We saw everything.
I will say, if AEW had, if that was like how AEW was all the time, I think I would enjoy AEW more. If it was
commercial free. The way old school NXT was. NXT was the hour and there was no commercials.
Yeah.
Maybe a 30-second advert in between, but most of the time it was just all you saw everything.
For me, like picture in picture, like
I don't watch it.
It turns me off way more than going to commercial. Like just go to commercial. Like do a commercial break, like a spot.
Yeah.
And they both fall down, and when you come back, this is what happened. But like watching it picture in picture, like I'm just like.
And almost every one of their commercial breaks is the picture in picture. I was always a proponent for, let's do the picture in picture instead of just have a commercial break in the middle of the match. But when you do it as every fucking commercial break, it gets to be too much.
And not to mention the other issue is with AEW, been for a while, among many production-wise, is that every match goes through at least one commercial break.
Yeah.
Tell me the last time you saw a squash match that was 4 minutes long and then there was a commercial break that it wasn't picture.
It wasn't on Dynamite. It was on AEW Dark.
no, but like
Wardlow squashing.
Yeah, and there's a commercial. It's a picture.
Early in AEW, Abaddon squashing a few bitches.
Yeah,
those didn't go through commercial break. You don't see that anymore. You we have this conversation about last week's Dynamite. On paper, the shit was badass. But you knew every one of those fucking matches was going to go through at least one commercial break.
8 minutes in, and there was a commercial break.
Yeah.
8 minutes into the show. It's 7:08. It was picture in picture. And I was like, it loses that big. But when you watch it without any commercial breaks, and they say we're going to commercial break, and we were all like, fuck, and then it was like, but it was Fight TV, so it just kept going.
Yeah.
So it felt like
a pay-per-view.
One continuous match.
Yeah.
Now that's funny that you're complimenting it for that. I watched it on Dynamite when it first happened months ago, and this is my second viewing of it, right? So when I first watched it back then, with the actual picture-in-picture, with the actual commercials, I thought it was better than what it was when I watched it now. Because when I watched it now, you hear Excalibur, hey, we're going to go to commercial, stay with us, the picture-in-picture, right? But then, and this might just be because I do ring announcing, so like I hear the technical part of it. I heard 10 seconds worth of silence, basically. And it's like, oh, shit. And you could also tell that the wrestlers got the notification from the ref, hey, we're at commercials, so save the good stuff for when we come back. Yeah. So milk this. So it's like, okay, rest hold. All right, you're selling. Get up. All right, maybe now would be a good time to kind of go get a tag. Don't do the big shit. And then I could tell when they came back from commercial, they
picked up.
It picked up, but also Excalibur, JR, and Taz, they quit goofing around. When they were off of commercial, they were goofing around. They were laughing at each other, saying stupid shit.
Now they goof around all the time.
Yeah,
I thought they were goofing around.
But in this match, I could tell because their cadence and their inflection almost changed. They're like, all right, guys. We still do commentary, and then they would do like these like
X is actually talking normal.
Yeah.
Slow.
And then
the red lights back on.
So like the commentary picked back up when they came back from commercial, but so did the action. The action picked back up because there was a moment in time when all three of us were sitting on the couch when they were in the middle of one of those picture-in-picture commercial breaks, and then we all were like just sitting there, and I was noticing you guys' reactions because this was my second time watching it. I could do that, and y'all are like,
that's just how I look all the time.
Yeah. But then something badass happened, and it's like, oh, they're back from commercial. Oh, holy shit! Oh my god! And you're like, oh, look at that.
Sometimes you need some of those lulls.
Yeah, you do.
But indie-rific match where it's 90 miles an hour.
Oh, they're all dead. Let me take a pisser.
But if it was a pay-per-view, it wouldn't be structured and it wouldn't have happened 3 times in the match, right? It would have been a little bit more organic, a little bit better flow. I saw that herky-jerky 3 times.
That's fair,
You know.
fair.
So that's my fertilizer. All right.
Yeah, because Arnold wants you to shut your whore mouth. That match was perfect.
Oh,
But
okay.
Arnold's,
okay.
but that goes back to Arnold's only viewing of it was
at
on
one time.
television with commercials.
Yeah.
You should watch it without the commercials and see. I mean, it's too late now. We're already gonna pick who gets it, but you should watch it to see. That's an interesting thing to go back and be like. There's some matches on AEW Dynamite over the past year that have been good, but
Could have
spoiled by commercial breaks
Could have been better.
or time limit or whatever.
Or spoiled by production. Sometimes AEW production sucks where they miss the shot.
I think that they haven't got it yet, and it's been 3 years, and I don't think they're ever going to get it unless something miraculous happens where they get the right people in, but they're missing like that Kevin Dunn.
Yeah, as much as I hate to say
as much as I hate to say it, because
they need someone.
AEW WWE don't miss, like they might miss 5% of things where AEW is missing
25, 30.
Yeah,
of the meaningful stuff.
Yeah, where you're like,
I've said that a couple of times.
You might see someone about to do a flip, and then it cuts away to a crowd shot, and like, what happened?
So one thing back to Flowers on this match is this was my first time really, well, not this match, but the match before, because again it was a tournament, but it was my first time being exposed to Aussie Open, and I absolutely 100% fell in love with Aussie Open.
We're going to Outback after this?
Oh God, yes.
I want a blooming onion. I'll do it.
Yeah.
It's done. We're going.
I really wish that they would have been in AEW for a little bit longer. I think they had one other match after that. That was it with the? Yep. I don't remember who was it.
Yep.
It was just them two. It was just Davis and
no, the 3 of them.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
They moved on to the next round.
Trios, yeah. But there was
It was just the Aussie Open. It wasn't United Empire. It was just them
like,
two. Yeah.
Here's 2 guys from New Japan or whatever. You're like,
yeah.
Oh, they never win.
Yeah. So I basically all I'm saying is that I love.
Got turned on to Aussie Open.
I got turned on to Aussie Open, and I wish that they stuck around for longer in AEW throughout the year, right?
Maybe they can show up on Forbidden Door this year with a match.
Maybe. I hope so, because I really want to see them more. Yeah.
I enjoyed them. I thought it was my first time seeing them too. So being exposed like that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Your number 5.
Is this the
yes, we're ranking now.
Yeah. So out of the 5 matches,
pick?
which is the worst out of the 5?
New Japan.
Okay.
Sorry.
Kingston versus Ishii.
Yeah, sorry.
Gets 1 point.
All right. Me? Mm-hmm. My number 5 is New Japan, Kingston versus Ishii. Chris?
New Japan.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So that puts a total for that match of 3 points. A whopping 3 points.
3 diddles.
Okay.
You're number 4.
Hey, well, you go number 4.
You're number 4.
My number 4 is Carmelo Hayes versus Cameron Grimes.
Ooh.
It was good. They had stakes.
Outback steaks.
Yeah, I know, right?
Now you got me thinking about fucking Outback. I don't care if y'all don't want to come with me.
Yeah.
I'll fucking go with anyway.
It was for a North American title, which was cool, but
almost 9 o'clock at night. They're gonna be closed.
They're gonna be closed. Yeah.
They closed it. Really?
Oh yeah.
Don't break my heart.
Don't go.
You go tomorrow.
But
we can go tomorrow.
Shit, you buying? Shit.
Right.
We can go tomorrow.
All right. Your number 4.
What's your number 4, Chris?
NXT.
Wow.
Oh wow. Okay.
It was clear that there's two levels of matches here.
Okay.
And the NXT and the New Japan are the second tier, and then the first tier are the rest of the other 3.
Okay.
Well, what's yours?
AEW.
What? Ooh, things are getting spicy.
So that. Okay. All right. Defend yourself, sir.
Does he?
I've seen that match 1,000 times.
Okay.
On AEW.
Yeah. Trios matches.
trios matches or 6-man tags when it was before the belts.
Yeah.
A regular tag match, an 8-man tag, it's always the same. Where it's like it's very entertaining. It's a car wreck. There's flips, there's dives, there's fucking chain wrestling, there's spots, everything. But I've seen it before.
Okay.
To follow up with Scott, I think I want to say the biggest disappointment of 2022, but you could have used the trios division as I want to say like a gimmick. Like you could have used it like every now and then.
Mm-hmm. As a special attraction.
Thank you.
But now it's
Bucks and the Elite and Death Triangle have burned me out of
there's
trios
7
tag
matches.
wrestling completely.
There's 7 matches in a row.
Twice a month total. We should be watching trios tag matches.
And also, just because you're friends with 2 other people, you don't have to be in a trio. Like we don't have to be in a. You know what I mean? Like
this is the part
it's
where
like every single person. It's like, well, I need a second person. I need a third person. It's like, yeah, you don't.
this is the part of pro wrestling, of old school pro wrestling, that I wish AEW would adopt. Building up to the tag matches. Like, oh, you want to do a trios tag match? Let's build up to it. Have Phoenix against Omega on Dynamite.
Yeah.
The next week, give me Penta versus Nick Jackson.
Yeah.
The week after that, give me Matt Jackson against fucking Pac.
Then give
Then give me the trios tag match.
Or-
We've had 3 weeks of them in pieces. Now we get
you
the whole. All right,
you
I'm
could
down.
You could do 3 single matches. Then you could do a tag match. You could do Bucks versus the Bros. Then you could do the trios.
Because remember,
for
AEW don't have monthly pay-per-views like WWE does or did. So you have to do something to spread all that out so there isn't burn, so you don't get burned out. 7 matches in 8 weeks. It's a fucking burnout.
Yeah.
And then what happens once?
And that was after a tournament to determine.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then whoever wins this is House of Black's next, or the best friends.
Yeah.
It's gonna be another series of, and then they're gonna have multiple matches.
Oh, and because of 6 people, we got to go through 25, 30 minutes on television.
Yeah.
Because everybody's got to get their shit in.
again,
Yeah.
yeah. So there we go.
Okay. That's
All
fair.
right, you're number 3.
My number 3, fuck. AEW.
Okay.
AEW is my number 3.
All right.
So that gets 3 points from me.
Okay.
Abelardo.
My number 3 was also United Empire versus Death Triangle. Yeah, man. That puts officially AEW with 8 points. That match has 8 points. Yeah, man. I think that you're right. There are 2 tiers here, and this is the first one of that other tier, that second tier. I had a really hard time determining my top 3. I thought coming into today, before we watched all these matches, I thought that was going to be my number 1.
Wow.
After watching it again,
Told you,
with
opinions change on the fly.
Yes.
That's true.
after watching it with
uninterrupted
and seeing the lulls, the 3 lulls, I'm like, this isn't as exciting as it was. When I was watching it, I was only getting the good parts, right? When I was watching it months ago.
That's fair.
Because
shit, we could have just watched this on YouTube then.
yeah, like
Just the highlights.
if we cut out those lulls and you mushed it all together, I would have been wrecked the entire time. But you let me get flaccid 3 times throughout the whole thing. You see what I'm saying?
You don't work that much.
At some point, you got to put in the effort, son.
Yeah. So I thought this was going to be my number 1, but it's not.
My number 3 is NXT.
Wow, you really have that up there.
Okay.
So
Carmelo versus Grimy.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. For
Okay.
what it was. They're
Okay.
entertaining. They're really entertaining guys. Both of the guys, in their own way, are entertaining.
3 technically with Trick.
True, but
Yeah. So you enjoyed Trick. Yeah. Okay.
It
So
fit.
this that we were talking about there being a tier, you disagree with our tiers. Of the 2 tiers, we're like, oh, definitely NXT and New Japan are at the bottom. But no, you're disagreeing with that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hell yeah. This is why we do this way. All right. Your number 2 is what we're at now, right?
I kind of feel like
I think
I know where this is going.
Yeah.
Sheamus and Gunther is my number 2.
What? Oh, versus.
Sheamus and Gunther is my number 2.
Whoa! So we have a winner. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is FTR versus Briscoes.
What?
Yeah. FTR versus Briscoes is my number 2.
So what is it about Gunther versus Sheamus that has you edging it over FTR and the Briscoes?
You may as well fill that in because
Yeah.
process of elimination, right? So my number 1 would be Gunther versus Sheamus. Your guys' number 1 is Gunther versus Sheamus.
No.
I'm sorry, FTR versus
FTR
Briscoes. I misspoke. I'm sorry. So yeah, our match of the year is officially.
And this is why I wanted a third person.
Yes.
By 1 point.
By 1 point. Wow.
Why are you picking?
Okay. I think it comes down to the significance of the match and the ripple effects and where are they now, right? Wow, FTR, hot shit throughout the entire year.
Where are they? Really?
No. Briscoes, where are they now? Briscoes are not going to
Can't be on telly.
Can't be on telly. They can't be on AEW television, so they're only going to be on ROH. Where's ROH? We don't know.
If the rumor is true that Ring of Honor is going to be a weekly show on HBO Max, they can't be on that either.
Exactly. So they had a banger of a match, a banger of a series for something that they can't really capitalize on. So at the end of the day, it's for FTR's second most important tag title that they had throughout the year. You know, if they had the AEW titles, it would have been their third most important title that they had in the year. Right?
But this is like the second or third year in a row where, with all due respect, your idea of a match of the year doesn't concur with from the beginning of the bell to the end of the bell, which, well, from the beginning to the end,
from the beginning to
by
the
a
end,
suplex over the top fucking rope.
Yeah.
From the beginning to the end, both of my number 1 and number 2, I think are spectacular. They're between the bells, they're 10 out of 10. Both of them are. And it just comes down to storyline going into a storyline coming out and what is more important. And to me, I think the more important match was Sheamus versus Gunther because it made Gunther, it made Sheamus, and it made that experiment, the experiment of going to Wales.
True. But what's Sheamus doing, really? He's a tag team. He's a tag team with Drew and the Brutes,
but he was revitalized. He's got that banger versus banger after banger after banger gimmick, and it's carried him through the rest of the year.
Here's a rebuttal for you.
Okay.
The Wales experiment.
Yes.
Did people buy 80,000 tickets to watch Gunther versus Sheamus, or did they buy 80,000 tickets because it was advertised for 3 months that Drew McIntyre was going to be the number 1 contender to Roman Reigns?
I'll do one better. It's sold because it's a major event
outside of the US.
That's not a house show or a Raw and SmackDown. It was like it's going to be. It's an event. You go to Wrestle Kingdom to see because it's Wrestle Kingdom. You know, like people.
You don't go for one match on the card.
You don't often see people going to Japan to go to see virtually a house show because they don't have a TV show like that. Like you're not going to Japan. Like I have to go to Japan to see. You're going. I'm going to Japan to see Wrestle Kingdom. Yeah. This is the first time since '92 that they've done a big event like this, where other than the Raw and SmackDown. So it's.
Yeah. And to the other side of that coin, they've made it fucking clear on commentary. These mofos have been talking shit on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube for 4 months.
Yes.
I bought a ticket to see the first time ever FTR versus the Briscoes.
Okay.
I had no idea what the fuck was going to be on that show because we didn't know that Tony Khan had taken it over. Up until this point, we didn't even know that FTR versus the Briscoes was going to end up on this pay-per-view. We just knew that at some point this was going to happen.
Yeah.
And when the bell rang and everyone chanted, "This is awesome," and everyone lit the fucking house on fire, the bottom line was that show, people were there because of that match. So I'm turning your logic against you, you son of a bitch!
I'll add on to it. When we started 2022, right? When we started 2022, Ring of Honor was about to be a dead company.
Yeah,
this was the last show, right? Mm-hmm. This is our last. We're going out with a bang. WrestleMania weekend. We're going to do the show, and then who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So then in the dying hours, it realized that Tony Khan had bought it. So like, there's people want that show because it could have been the last Ring of Honor show, which I mean,
It could have been.
It kind of is because there is no Ring of Honor. There's Ring of Honor pay-per-views, but
not any Ring of Honor
like,
shows. But
yeah.
you don't really know. Yeah.
So it's in there. I could have flipped either way.
Okay.
That's why the fact that it's by the numbers, it's literally 1 point.
1 point, yeah.
It makes sense because I could be like, there's so much going into it, and it's.
So here's
it's splitting hairs. It is splitting hairs.
Here's our New Japan moment. 2013 Punk and Lesnar SummerSlam. 2014 Sami Zayn versus Cesaro NXT Arrival. 2015 Grave Consequences Phoenix and Mil Muertes.
Are these the match of the year?
Yes.
2016 Cena and Styles at SummerSlam. 2017 Omega Okada G1 Climax. 18 Gargano Ciampa from TakeOver New Orleans.
Yeah.
2019 Shingo and Ospreay final round of the Super Juniors. They both ate a lot since then. Omega and Pac 2020 30-minute Iron Man match. Omega and Page, a full gear for the title 2021. 2022 FTR the Briscoes. This
Wow.
is the first tag match on this list.
Wow.
Your
First Ring of Honor
your
match.
6-man tag from the 2 months of 2012 sucks nuts. That doesn't count.
Oh,
Tag team, first time ever. FTR Briscoes, first tag team ever
yeah.
match.
At first Ring of Honor.
First Ring of Honor match. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty
Wow.
cool. Pretty cool.
That's cool. That's cool. All right. That being said, so we have our match of the year. For better or for worse, if you agree with it, disagree with it, whatever, that's what it is. If you want to, can you see in the live chat? Because my thing is dead here. Is there anything on live chat that sticks out to you there, Chris?
Okay. Arnold, Gunther versus Sheamus is number one. For me, nobody cares. Gunther versus Sheamus. Boo.
Say Boo Earns?
He said Boo Earns.
Which is funny because if Arnold were here, that would have
Then
been
it would have been a tie
by math. No,
well,
if it was
no,
just the three of them.
because it wouldn't have been a tie because it would have depended on what he put FTR versus Briscoes. If he put FTR versus Briscoes at number 2, then it would have been 2 ties.
You wouldn't have been
I
here.
probably wouldn't have been here.
Yeah, it would have just
yeah.
been 3. So if Arnold were here, there's no guarantee.
So maybe show up for the next show.
But then again, we do have a track record of changing our minds last minute.
And
if
if he
had
put it
never
at-
seen it,
Or if he had put it at 3 instead of 2, then it would have been no tie at all. It would have been clear cut.
yeah. If he
Yeah.
had never seen FTR Briscoes 1 and he saw it today and had the same reaction we all
Yeah.
did, he might have not voted that. So
That is
Okay.
true. It's all opinions.
Woo!
And it's all in the
all
know.
right. So today we are in 2023.
Yes.
We have a clean slate, and the 3 of us collectively meet for the second time.
He said hashtag not my match of the year.
Not mine.
Oh, he would have put that at number 4.
You tell that to Kevin McCarthy.
Number
Okay.
4? Holy shit. Okay.
The 3 of us, we saw Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega for the U.S. title, Wrestle Kingdom 17. Go, Abel.
You want to do the
So-
thumbs? You
So,
wanna do the-
we'll
the-
get
that. Before we can look at like matches of the year, matches of the week, and good
You
matches
want
for
to make
this year,
changes.
we need to re-examine how we're doing it for 2023 before we
We?
talk.
Need?
Yes.
We need
So-
a lot of things.
Well, if it's not a change, we
So-
need to at least establish
so
that.
I will say,
So-
we'll say up front,
Okay.
the blocks that we had were because we started from the beginning of January. So from January, those were the rules we were going to stick to.
You're right.
Things have changed.
Yes.
So what are you suggesting?
So I still like the way we're doing here, where we're doing company, and throughout the year we debate the company match of the year.
Yeah.
Right.
What's your suggestion?
My suggestion is we'll have WWE.
Pause.
Okay.
When you say WWE,
Yes.
are you saying Raw, SmackDown, and NXT as a collective?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the
I'm
change
down with
I
that.
wanted
So
to
you're
make.
going,
I'm
you're
done.
going brand. You're going.
So company. So
So-
by AEW, you mean AEW and Ring of Honor? Because you can't have one without the other.
That was the part that I wanted to explore.
But you don't know what's going to happen with Ring of Honor.
And that's the reason why we need to explore it.
You don't know
Right?
what's going to happen.
We're not sure. As of right now, as of January 6th or January 7th, ROH is in AEW. So if we're gonna do NXT in WWE, we have to do it that way, unless you think you roll the dice.
You
If you
technically
think ROH is gonna be a separate company.
if you technically have seen as much NXT matches as Ring of Honor matches in 2022, then we have to lump them all together.
Okay.
So it's
So
on you.
because I
It's on
definitely
us.
I
are here. Hector and Arnold
Hector
are in the chat.
Arnold, yeah, in the chat. I definitely
Or,
think
what the fuck
that
is wrong with you?
listen, I definitely think that NXT should be lumped in with WWE because I don't foresee NXT taking off anytime soon. They might now that they turn back to black and white and black and gold, maybe.
I don't see
but-
NXT ever being at the height as the black and gold was.
Yeah,
They're because
Just keep
rumors.
Just keep in mind,
and that's
we
why I
had-
want to lump them
we
in
had-
together.
We had the categories, but we did also mention in the beginning, just because we have a category doesn't mean it necessarily has to be filled. I wouldn't have lost sleep tonight if we had never seen Kingston versus Ishii and just stuck with the 4 matches, because as of this morning, that's what I thought we only had. So we don't need to have one from Impact, one from MLW, one from, because the whole point of this was we're trimming a fuck ton of fat and we're only bringing our A pluses to this episode.
And that brings me to another twist that I might want to add. If we're going to consolidate the categories, so have AEW and ROH, have all the WWE products, then have the rest, have 2 candidates per category. So have
non WWE and non AEW,
yeah,
and then
2 of each.
so four matches.
You want 6.
That'd be
2
6.
from each.
so
two
so
from each.
Oh,
WWE, AEW, or excuse me, WWE, AEW, ROH, and then the rest. So that will include Japan, Mexico, Impact, whatever. And do 2 of each. So if it's 2 New Japan matches, great. If it's 1 New Japan and 1 thing from Impact, that was awesome. Cool. If, hey, we can't decide between this Raw one and this NXT one, cool. Put that all in the WWE banner.
I think it gives us more to talk about during the episodes, since we don't do weekly episodes, that if we narrow it down to just 3. 1 from each.
1 from each?
Yeah.
So you got one
match
one
from
WWE, one AEW, and then one
from
the
everybody
rest.
else. 1 from everybody
three.
else. Because it's already tricky enough that we have a rotation of our hosts on this show that we might never have a consistent pick. So, or consistent picks, and then again, like we'll have to have an argument about 3 matches almost all the time.
The
It feels
problem
we'll
that I
kinda
would-
need to do it.
The problem that I would fear once we do this next year, if we only have 3 matches, is that we're going to have way too much room for a tie. Right? Because if there's 3 of us and you'll,
That's true. Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
and there's just 3 matches, or do you think one of the other we should do Japan, Mexico? Because that was something Hector mentioned in the live chat. We blew right past it. I'm sorry, Hector. He said that we should have added Hijo de Vikingo and who was it? Bandito and Hijo de Vikingo. We should have added that.
So I would suggest, since New Japan has enough, I don't want to say assets, but they have their own network. They have their own shows every month. They have more stuff that I'm going to watch more of New Japan than I will of MLW or Impact or Mexico or anything. So I still think New Japan should be its own
If
thing.
you're doing
Okay.
so you
WWE,
pick, you pick 4, yeah.
W,
If you pick
New Japan, everybody else.
this time next year, you have 4 candidates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the 3 main companies that are on TV. Well, that are on
The 3
that you
big,
can
yeah,
watch. I mean, you can watch NWA, but is that company going to be around at the end? Of
NWA is going to be under other. It's
Yeah.
always
but even then, is
Yeah.
NWA going to be a thing in 2023? Like,
So here's the ultimate question. how much of AAA do we watch that it needs to be its own thing? How much of NWA do we watch? That's why. But with New Japan, Hector watches that as much as
any American
maybe
stuff.
more
but
than WWE.
But even then, he watches
And
that.
He watches it, but he's not on the show.
But then when you're watching it, you watch it.
So
Hector Arnold, what do y'all think? Y'all need to chime in.
I'd go for.
Yeah, because NXT UK is dead, and now that Ring of Honor is actually part of the AEW developmental system, then I'd have it before. Which I was going to bring up also is of rearranging the blocks, and that was going to be my idea is we consolidate some and leave it at 4.
Okay.
Because the whole point of this system was. I think 1 year, you and I and Travis, we had like 8 fucking picks, and we literally did, which I didn't.
Well, we started way early and we ended way late.
It was a 9-hour affair.
Yeah,
but
because one of those matches was a fucking hour-long match.
And us as humans, right now, neither Arnold or Hector had 9 hours to devote to this.
Mm-hmm.
So next year. Some of us might not.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, we want to make sure that when it's time to do this, we have the picks.
And we can make it manageable.
And guess what? If we don't watch enough wrestling, or if all of us can't come to a consensus that we can't, then guess what? Again, just this time next year, if New Japan didn't have a match, or if WWE didn't have a match, I'm not going to lose any fucking sleep.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
You cool with that, Scott?
I mean, that's.
He's like, I'm not on this show. Fuck. It's up to you.
It's just going to be hard to
practice.
It's just going to be hard for you to.
Yeah.
It just means pretty much the way it should work. If you're going with a 4, then let's say the next time you record, there's an episode that there's a match that you saw, right? You saw a match or Hector, whatever. And you bring it to the table. The next time y'all record, be like, y'all need to watch this. Then you have until the next episode.
But here's the other issue,
and that never happened.
That's
on us.
Here's part of that issue. Vikingo, Triple Mania.
I didn't watch it.
How much is the replay?
I don't know.
Do you have the knowledge or capacity or desire to download these matches?
Oh no.
And give your computer herpes, or sit through commercials every 5 minutes,
no.
Or actually just make the effort to try to find this match and watch it.
Mm.
That's why a lot of these indie matches that are bangers, no one watches because it's once a year. Everybody says, "Hey, what's your user ID and password? I need to catch this New Japan," or "Hey, I want to watch Wrestle Kingdom. Give me the stuff for one show." Like that's not them. That's not them investing in New Japan. That's just one match.
Well,
and to make the categories, we as people, as part of the show, have to be consistent on. If somebody gives me the option to watch this match, I have to make the effort to do it. And if for whatever reason, I think Hijo de Vikingo's not charismatic enough, or I don't think their flips are cool, or I just for whatever reason I don't want to hear Mexican commentary, or for whatever reason I don't want to see the motor oil advertisement every 20 seconds on the big screen on the fucking wrestling show in Mexico. Or whatever, I just don't watch it, and then what? So a lot of this has to do with access,
and also part of, and again, that's why I wanted to go back to less categories but 2 per, because I know we didn't talk about it a whole lot tonight, but I think that the AEW category, I wanted to at some point in the year to make the argument for going back to our original pick, which was MJF versus CM Punk at the dog collar match. The reason why we took it off is because this match we thought was better, and I made the argument that, hey, that match is obsolete because MJF is gone. But MJF wound up not being gone, so it wasn't obsolete.
Obsolete because Punk's gone.
Well,
but then that goes back to: do you want to have a 45-minute conversation of why everybody else thinks that your critiques of Match of the Year are bogus? Match of the Year is from bell to bell, and
we're gonna have that. We've had that argument for 10 years.
The reason why you want to bring the match back is from criteria that you alone have, not criteria I have, or Scott has, or Arnold has, or Hector has.
Well, Travis had that same criteria, but whatever.
Well, he ain't here.
Hey, he ain't here.
So he don't really give a shit.
It's hard to just.
All right. So
I mean, I think the four
categories.
four
matches. That's it.
Yeah.
All right.
Arnold gave us the answer. 4.
No, that
Right
was
there.
that.
It's 4.
That was his answer.
No. He said 4.
1, 2, 3. You got our numbers. Bitch.
All right. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do WWE products, AEW products, New Japan products, the rest.
Because I mean,
All right.
if you look at the list, like NXT, you put it as the second worst.
Yeah.
So in a match of the year, it wouldn't have shown up.
Right.
Yeah.
So
All right.
you put them all together.
All right. So now we have 2023's format down.
Yes.
All right. Cool. That being said, holy fuck! Holy fuck! That match, Omega versus Ospreay from Wrestle Kingdom. I felt all of our matches from this year, from 2022, I did not have that, oh fuck, this is a match of the year match. I all felt like, hey, these were all the best matches from these companies that we watched throughout the year, but I didn't see, oh, this is a match of the year contender for sure, even on later viewing.
Yeah.
This match, I had that feel. This match had the same feel as Okada Omega. When I watched that, I was like, oh fuck, this is definitely match of the year. You know, that's how I felt when I was watching that today. Out of all the matches that we saw today, the best one was the one for 2023. Yeah. If we had entered this match into
they would have won it.
It would have won it. This match is the best that I've seen from everything that we watched in 2022. Already, it beats all this shit that we just wrote down and did our fucking Hollywood Squares and spent 2 hours talking about. Yeah, exactly. That match was already better. So
I'm the same way. I over the past 3 years, I've grown to really dislike Kenny Omega.
Okay.
His matches are the same.
Mm-hmm.
His everything. His promos have been pretty not like the porn star sounding soft voice that he does.
All right, Brian. Last week.
Everything about him, like I haven't liked. Right,
okay.
Like I've slowly gotten worse. Like it's the same shit every time. This match though, I was like, pretty fucking good. Like I'm back on to the like.
He felt like the Omega from before.
This
AEW.
was the cleaner. This was the cleaner Omega.
During that match, you turned and you said, what did you say? You said,
AEW, you said something.
AEW has never gotten this Kenny Omega.
Rarely. Hangman versus
Pac.
Well,
first year.
Yeah.
After the first, I mean, I know his injuries and stuff like that, so maybe that's a point to it.
Yeah. And you can't have that kind of match every fucking week. But what I meant about that wasn't just the style of matches. Kenny Omega in New Japan has a presence, has a confidence about him that I haven't seen in a consistent basis here in the United States on AEW television.
He's more wacky in the US.
Yeah.
Whereas he's more serious in Japan.
Do you think it goes back to that because you see him every week?
I don't think so. I think there's an actual difference.
Storyline based, and you're like, he's on every week. He wrestles in a tag match, or he feuds, or he's a champ, or where Japan, it's the big fight feel. You only see him, for me, Wrestle Kingdom, which is you take the whole of Wrestle Kingdom. It's the WrestleMania of Japan.
It might be the style of opponent now that I'm thinking about it, because Kenny Omega's match with Moxley didn't compliment Kenny. Kenny Omega versus Bryan Danielson was kind of like an amalgamation of both of their styles. It was a little bit of both. I felt in this match, and I've made this comparison a couple of times, this felt like Ken and Ryu from Street Fighter. They were two of the same guys, and it was just who can outdo each other.
Okay.
But a lot of that goes back to the presence that Omega has, the stage that is Wrestle Kingdom, where you take him seriously.
Yeah.
He's not. I don't want to say that he's fodder in AEW. He has a different. It's almost like a different character in AEW.
In New Japan, he's a wrestler. He's like the top.
Yeah.
In AEW, it's like he's pretending to be a wrestler.
Or pretending to entertain, kind of.
Or in New Japan, he's a wrestler. On AEW,
God.
he's an entertainer.
Oh God.
It's,
No, I see,
I would like for
I see
our
what you're saying.
listeners to try to help us define a difference, but there is a difference between Omega and
Here's the difference. I'll tell you the difference. The difference is it has something to do with confidence levels, and it has something to do with motivation. In AEW, he is the top dog, and he'll always be the top dog because it's his company. Whereas in New Japan, he has to prove himself. So he pushes himself a little bit harder there because he has the pressure of he's not the top dog unless he performs.
I don't think because he's been in the main event or around the main event.
He has security
it can
in
be
AEW
snatched
because of the
out.
ABB position.
It can be snatched away from him at any point in time.
At
in
AEW, he has the capability to be. You know what? I'm gonna just make myself one. I'm gonna be in the top. I'm gonna be in the main event scene for the next 10 years because I have a financial stake in this company. In New Japan, Gato or whoever's booking can be like, you know what? You're opening the show. Make it work.
Yeah.
You know, he has no say, so he has to. His say is his actions in the ring. In AEW, his say is depends.
He has something to prove in New Japan. He always has that chip on his shoulder because he's always going to be an outsider or whatever. Whereas in AEW, it's his home. He could take off his bra and be comfortable.
Yeah.
You know.
The reuniting of Don Callis and Kevin Kelly on commentary was
mwah. Chef's kiss.
And I think that's the other part of the whole presentation where Kenny Omega on AEW lacks the seriousness, and it rubs off that where Excalibur and Taz and Shivani with Callis can just joke around on commentary. There was a seriousness to Callis's commentary with Kevin Kelly because Kevin Kelly, for the most part, he'll slide in a small joke here and there that you might not
there were some funny parts
because there's a Jerry Lawler kind of love-hate between the two that you don't get on the AEW commentary team.
It just goes back to that big fight feel.
Yeah, it's a lot more of a big fight feel whenever Kenny's wrestling in New Japan, and that also goes back to New Japan doesn't have the weekly television, so you're watching Omega Ospreay on word of mouth because you've read on Facebook or you've seen the clips on Twitter for the past 3 months of Ospreay talking shit about Omega, that he's better than Omega, just like Ospreay's been talking shit that he's better than Seth Rollins. And if we get the open door between Ospreay and Rollins, that's going to have as much of the big fight feel because of the way the match was built. That you don't have face-to-face teases every week to be like, all right, just fight already. No, we're getting to the match. This is the biggest stage we have. This has been built up for months. People want to see this. Yeah. I would argue, my argument that I did earlier, I would spend $800 to buy a ticket and fly to Wrestle Kingdom for this match.
Woo! Okay. And you know what? There's 2 guys in that. 3 if you count Red Shoes. I want to focus a little bit on the other side. I know we've been talking a lot about Kenny Omega and his psychology and why is he better here? No.
You don't get a lot of Ospreay access, so you go.
Oh my God. This was the first time that I saw Ospreay like this, and it was different, and I liked it. Where Ospreay was the one that was getting his ass whooped, and I didn't think he was going to come back, and he tried to come back, and he gave out. All right, he tried to come back, and no, Kenny Omega was still all over him. Kenny Omega was the veteran who was showing the young boy what was up, the guy who's trying to keep his spot versus the guy that's trying to grab his spot, right? Which was something
at first he was surprised because Ospreay was getting the upper hand.
Yeah.
And Callis was like, we came to this match knowing Kenny Omega's a little bit heavier, but skill-wise...
And he lost 4 pounds.
Skill-wise, we're behind the 8 ball as far as Ospreay goes. So he even admits on commentary, Ospreay's not your run-of-the-mill dumb fuck that Omega's going to just squash. In the beginning, Ospreay was getting the upper hand. Then the longer the match went, the experience of
Omega... I never saw Ospreay in peril. Like I've seen him in matches where he's not the one that's like in control of the match, but I've never seen him in peril
Not
like he
against
was in
Okada,
this
not
match.
against Ibushi.
In
You're
this
right.
in this match, I was like, oh fuck, he's really getting taken to the woodshed.
Yeah.
But he was still in it. And it was the animal, it was the fighting spirit that actually got him through barely. Barely when he did it. And it was like proving himself. And in my mind, maybe it's because I'm so old now, like I don't think of Kenny Omega as the old guy and Ospreay as the young kid, but holy shit, Kenny Omega is the guy that's been around the block, and Ospreay is kind of the young kid. And oh man, there is a passing of the torch here. Oh fuck, we might have the new Omega,
The next Omega.
the next Omega in Ospreay, and you know what? This may even revitalized Omega himself.
Yeah.
So even another layer to that match that I fucking loved.
I have nothing else to say about it. Yeah.
Oh. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Up. It's up. That's on our match of the year list. Under the New Japan category.
Yes. So the match to beat. Arigato gozaimasu.
Yes.
Omega versus Ospreay.
Woo!
And you know what the best part is?
What's that?
It's yet to come.
Yes.
Because if Ospreay is due to get that rub, eventually Omega's going to have to drop the belt back to Ospreay. And in the meantime, Omega can defend the belt against
Whoever.
whoever.
Yeah.
The next night, the main event of New Year's Dash was 2 members of Empire. And there was a nice stare down in the beginning between the makeshift tag team of Okada and Omega. The fuck? And Omega and Jeff Cobb in the ring starting the match. Give me more of that. So Cobb versus Omega. Definitely, it's a New Japan title. The title was changed on New Japan. I would like to think that the rematch is in Dominion in June on New Japan's dime in Japan. And maybe they stretch it out. Maybe we get another 3-peat or a 4-peat like with Okada. But damn, that fucking match was good.
All right.
Yeah.
Get to know that.
Woo-wee. All right. I think that's the only business that we need to conduct tonight.
We're saving the rest of the stuff for next episode.
Oh, what? Goddamn! What more stuff do we have? It's all right, dude. We've been online for like 3 hours. What?
It's been 2023, and Mercedes Moné debuted in New Japan.
Mm-hmm.
2 matches of year possible candidates in the first episode of Dynamite. Our injuries already, and we didn't even get back to the second part of the Vince McMahon story, which is, oh my God, Donald Trump. Trump, this is how you do a coup, because Vince essentially said, if I'm not the man in charge of this deal, fuck it, I'm not approving shit, and I'm gonna just let the shit.
Sell it.
So
Well,
I guess
and
we can dabble into all that in the next episode.
apparently, the sale is still going through.
It's just begun.
Yeah,
So they hired JP Morgan. There's a lot more
We
to
didn't
this.
even talk about Rumble.
Well, we have a
Well, we
preview
have a
episode
Rumble
for the
preview,
Rumble.
Yeah, I'm just saying we have.
Yeah.
Like there's
So
that's a whole. Because you can talk about all that for another.
Yeah, that's a whole
okay.
other
That's
episode.
an episode by itself.
Yeah.
we're gonna piss off Arnold because we didn't talk about the Sasha debut. Just know that.
Is that gonna-
stinks?
This couple of days at work is gonna be unpleasant.
Is that gonna piss him off like this?
Yeah,
Why
'cause
would
we
why
didn't-
that piss
'cause we
him off?
didn't, like, talk 15 minutes about Sasha.
Okay. I don't.
That's your problem.
Does he care that much
That's
about
an
it?
Uber. That's a Lyft problem. You deal with it. With him.
I don't think he would
But
care
yeah,
that much about it. Okay, so she debuted. She had weird hair and she fucking botched her move, and she was talking weird.
She had Bam Bam's attire on her hair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Royal Rumble preview
Yeah, sure.
in Alamo Dome, San Antonio.
Okay.
Texas.
Yes.
Is that it?
Yes.
Are we going to Outback? Is there time?
No, there's no time.
Oh.
Adios, my friends. Keep it classy. You coming back anytime soon, Scott?
I don't know. Come whenever you invite me.
We'll